Welcome back to round number two of the second qualifier of the Xenon Gaming Series Spring Burst. My name is Nomical, being joined once again by It's Goose. We are very pleased to be bringing you this round two matchup. And Goose, I feel like we had a very good map number one, a very good first game between Wildcard and Outlast. Are you looking forward to the second game as we kind of start to separate the good from the bad in this qualifier?
That's one way to put it. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. While this second round, the matchups aren't exactly, I would say, the best. Not to call out the competition themselves. It's just random. You get it. But the match we have picked for you all tonight for my last cast will be Nomical's second out of fourth. Is decent. I think we have picked up a really good even matchup here.
Indeed. And you mentioned the matchup. It's going to be Outlast Black taking on Ultron. An interesting name and one that I don't necessarily know a bunch about, but I do know quite a bit about Outlast Black as we'll take a look at the rosters and find out who actually is playing on these teams. Outlast Black is the one that I'm very familiar with. Like I said, it's going to be Hoa, Retrospect, Sense, Matumba, and Ions rounding them out. What do we know about them recently?
Recently they played in what was ex ZCL, now Goose Run, and while they did lose, they went to the third map and went into overtime in said map. And honestly, in the past month, they have gone better. I really do actually like how this overall roster is set up. And going up against Ultron, this is definitely gonna be going good. You have Palpatine, you have Trist, who has played in Pro League for one match for the span of an hour, but he has played, T2, I believe, in T3. So he is a really good player. You have Fighter, you have Lick. So for Outlast Black, this is going to be definitely a really good challenge, but I don't think it's going to be a game that they go into thinking, oh, we're not going to win this. I think they do have a very good chance to contest, maybe even win.
Yeah, and I mean, both these teams, like we said, are 1-0. They won their first games in pretty dominant fashion. As far as Outlast Black, they won 7-1 on Chalet, nonetheless, a game that we just saw. And it was against Naturally Wild, one of the teams that I had regarded very highly heading into this. But Ultron as well had a 7-1 victory over Team Erm. Yes, you heard that right. It spelled with like five R's on the OPL page. And I mean, both these teams looking very good. It's going to be an interesting matchup. We don't really know kind of how they're going to play out. But looking at Ultron, it's Fighter, Trist, Lecky Lax, Palpatine, and Buzzwuzz. What do we know about them?
I mean, honestly, just like I wouldn't call them a pub stack. Actually, they are a pub stack. I'm eating my words. They are. This is the definition of a pub stack. Palpatine has been playing in a lot of qualifiers. He's played in 3Z. He's played in even actually the TPL Winter Tournament that happened in December. So these are all very active players. And Trist coming in is honestly, in my opinion, I'm really curious to see what he brings to the team because these are players that aren't, as experienced as he is. And not only is he a really good player individually, he's played T2, he's played in T1, so he does have that IQ.
Well, let's look ahead to where these two teams will be playing. It's going to be the map bands for you all this evening. And starting things out, let's take a look. It's going to be Clubhouse off the board first. That surprises me a little bit because Clubhouse was one of the most played maps in qualifier number one. Heading forward, it's going to be Consulate and Nighthaven as well as Cafe off the board. Not surprised that we see Consulate and Nighthaven banned out. These two teams probably not as familiar with those maps as they are some of the older ones. And we're going to round things out with Bank being the final ban. And Goose, we're going to go back to Chalet and it's going to be Outlast Black starting on the defense. What are we thinking of this matchup?
I'd like this matchup, and I like this map because in the current meta we find, I think Chalet is the perfect testing ground. Just not only for the current operators in the meta we have, but just like for players. I feel like Chalet, when you are attacking, is an easier map to actually find out where your problems are and to fix it rather than a map like Bank where you're not sure if it's like, oh, maybe we just can't play Bank, or if it's the actual meta of itself. But Outlast Black going to be banning first, already getting a pause. um very unlucky, but Dokkaebi being banned first, just like in our last match. Very understanding. Dokkaebi is a very good operator, not only with her EMR, but with her utility, being able to flush out roamers and clear space in the map very quickly.
Well, yeah, just looking at these bans, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ying banned off the board here. And as far as defense, it's going to be probably Solas and Azami, some sort of combination of that, although we could see Finmir, and there is the Ying. And Mira banned out as well. Ying, not too surprising, one of the strongest attackers right now. And I just have to feel like It's going to be the same situation that we saw in the last game where the team struggled to attack and struggled to clear out those power positions upstairs on places like mezzanine and even the blue stairs as well. Just looking ahead here, yeah, Solus likely going to be banned
Yeah,
out. There you
we
go.
might see the
He's
exact
currently got
same
a
ban lineup.
68% ban rate in the first qualifier. Just looking ahead to the second one, Azami, 63% banned out in the first qualifier as well. But no, it's going to be Fenrir, who was actually the third most banned defender in the first qualifier. So not too surprised we see that. But what does that mean having Azami left up for this map?
You can just create space in really good angles. As we talked about before, not only now, but the last map, top mez is probably the most crucial overall hold that a defense could have on any site. Doesn't matter if you're going bar gaming, it doesn't matter if you're going kitchen. If you're trying to hold and do an extended roam or hold upstairs above a site, you need to have top mez. You need to have top fireplace. You need to have control of library. And a player like an Azami being able to create and deny angles being left up is really powerful. Fenrir also being banned.
Yeah, and I believe we're ready to get back into it. We've got all the tech issues sorted back out. But just looking back at those bans, we've got operators like the Valkyrie, like the Tubarão still on the board, left unbanned for this game. And we saw Tubarão be used a couple times in the first game to deny walls downstairs in wine cellars. So I have to think that maybe throughout this game we'll see that used in a similar fashion, but we'll just have to see how the teams feel like playing it out. In round number one, we're going to head to Kitchen, and we're going to have that said Valkyrie and the Azami on the board. It's going to be interesting to see how they utilize both these operators later on, as, like you said, as combining the Azami with not only the Valkyrie, but the castle is going to make it an absolute fortress wherever they decide to utilize both those operators.
Yeah, as we said before, that Azabi coming out. Honestly, I think this is a round where we can see how Ultron is going to, really assess and attack the defense. And not only that, just their overall play style. Because this top hold in master bedroom and office is really where teams show how good they are, their overall compatibility, their overall togetherness, and just overall if they have an IGL problem, if they have a good idea of what they want to do. Because attacking this top floor in kitchen itself, if you don't have an idea of what you want to do and you're not all on the same page, you're going to have immense difficulty. And if Ultron are able to efficiently push out these players on top floor, I think it's going to yield, a really good result continuing in further into this map.
Well, for the moment, it doesn't really seem like Ultron are going to be putting too much of a focus on the mezzanine side of the map, opting instead to go for a more dedicated solar push and maybe onto the bathroom balcony. The fighter's going to open things up, give Ultron the man advantage. The first pick of the game goes his way, and he almost has a second as he lights up Retro, who's just playing inside of the master bedroom and the office area, but he's going to rotate out, try to play his life, and just try to hold on to this top control for Outlast Black. But Ultron with a good start despite not having many boots in the building.
Yeah, one thing I also do want to touch on, while Sens is down recently, he's been missing some games for Outlast Black. Now that he's coming in, he's a very crucial player. That crucial player being taken out this first round, I'm really, curious to see his overall impact. But Fighter just wedging his way all the way into Trophy, and now he's just completely dismantled the hold upstairs. And Ultron, initially a 4v2, now a 3v2. They do have Buzz upstairs holding this crossfire, but right now Retro and Matamba are now stuck upstairs and forced to either hold upstairs or decide if they want to go for a retake.
Yeah, and they are going to be stuck upstairs. They're going to try to deny this plant, but a beautiful shot by Fighter picks up his third of the round, and it leaves Matamba all alone. No control from above, no idea where the plant's going down. Buzz was able to rotate from Solar to get the plant down, and now coming down the Solar stairs, Matuma is going to have his work cut out for him. Lekiax, is going to have a read on where this player is, and a long angle from inside of Dining is going to shut it down. There is Buzz to clean things up, doing it all in the late round, getting the plant down, getting the final kill, and Ultron start things off well with a good attack, and they did it despite not having any top floor control, which seems to be the smart play now.
Initially in that round, I said that round would determine on how Ultron would look going forward into this map, but in my opinion, the result of that round actually showed more from Outlast Black. While they did initially have a really good site setup and extension hold upstairs, they just let a really big slip up, just letting players from the side of Ultron Fighter just slip through, go directly into the site. And that should not happen. When you're holding upstairs, you shouldn't just let a player go in through trophy, get a kill on site, and just take map control from you. And it just, honestly, from Outlast Black, I don't want to say it was a mess up. I don't want to say they played it horribly because initially they had a great idea. They carried that out with their site setup. It was relative. They had a relatively good hold, but they just didn't have an overall understanding on what Ultron was doing, how they were attacking the round, and because of that, Ultron just kind of ran over their defense in that round.
Well, the initial indication from Ions is that he's not going to be bandit tricking the main snowmobile wall for the moment, as he's going to dedicate those bandit batteries over towards the wine cellar side. Could indicate the fact that Outlast want to play back and try to play for a retake if they let the plant go down. And well, Ultron has the perfect opportunity to let that happen, as they've got the perfect operator. Pardon me, but am I stupid? What is that operator called?
Which
The,
operator? Retro?
the one that Trist is playing. I'm literally the
The one that
stupidest player alive.
That's Sins.
Sens, there we go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
Sens.
had another one of those Joe Biden.
Grandpa just woke up. Yeah, but no, honestly, from Trist, Sens is actually a pick he has used a lot. As a matter of fact, he actually used it in his Pro League debut, which it was only one match. He dropped 15 kills in that game. Trist overall just really likes Sens. And Sens, in my opinion, while he is a very useful operator, in this current meta, he's still a trick operator. He's only really useful in certain situations, and Trist fighting off this utility, just applying pressure onto Retro, but so far that pressure hasn't really resulted in anything, but it's actually Palpatine to get the first pick on the Matamba. That is now your Roamer and your Vigil gone. That is a really good pick.
Indeed, and another strong start for the side of Ultron. They're working their way in, but the swing from Fireplace is able to net the trade. And unfortunately, Trist, playing on that Sins, is unable to leverage it back. And, well, Retro is able to escape back to the site. And, well, for the moment, I don't believe, once again, Ultron have much control of the top floor. They seem to be dedicating their entire push to the horizontal game, as Retro is going to be in the perfect position to shut it down. He's going to get unlucky there as he gets taken out by Fighter after he takes out the Ionic clone, the Gemini, off the board. And now Ultron regain the man advantage. They have the control horizontally. They have the vertical control as well. And they're going to start opening up the wine cellar. They're going to start working their way back in. And they have over a minute to work with. They are in a very good spot to try and win out this round. There you go. There's the main breach open onto the default plant. Buzz is going to rotate out as well. It's up to Trist with the diffuser in his hand to try and force this out. The next step is going to be to shut down the Warden, who's the perfect operator to deny the Sens. He's just going to be situated on the pillar position, ready and waiting if the attackers come into their line of sight. The grenade's going to be raining in as well. And Sens is actually going to get down by the grenade, I believe, and that's going to give an opening for Ultron to work their way in. A 2 versus 4 now, much in favor of the attack. Another grenade, but a nice swing from Hoa is able to shut him down. But he's going to get traded out from the main breach. Ions left alone in a 1 versus 3, once again in favor of the attack as the plant's going down. Swings, the coverage is coming in as well. He's going to have to deny from above. He's got 40 seconds to try and work his way in. The swing, he is able to net one. A beautiful shot with the M80 onto Buzz, but unfortunately, doesn't seem to be that good of a position for him as Fighters rotated back up to try and deny. Ions is going to just try and work his way back, see if he can find an opening. But like I said, it just doesn't look good for him because of where these attackers are positioned.
Yeah, not only are these attackers positioned in really good positions, you have the shotgun. Well, I actually do like to play just in a 1v2 situation, especially with an AR like Sens has. That shotgun just does not favor you in that situation. But Ultron, which initially they did look a little slow at the beginning, take their second round on attack. Outlast Black not looking horrible, I would say. They do seem to be struggling a little bit overall, just, playing against Ultron's style of attack, not really finding an answer back, whether it be in picks or just map control. While that player, on the side of Legion, did hold control very long, he just didn't necessarily waste enough time or utility, didn't get a pick off of it. Or actually, he initially did get a pick off of it, but just wasn't enough for Outlast Black. Now they're going to be trying to assess their defense going into bar gaming. And that top Mezzi hold that we were talking about, I'm very curious to see if this Azami actually uses her charges, and yes, she does, exactly where we predicted, using those charges on top Mez. And on top of that, paired with Matombo with that shield on Warden, this is going to be a really difficult play and overall position for Ultron to clear out if Outlast Black can play it correctly.
And Outlast Black for the moment seems to be bringing the Mira in combination with Setazami to try and make this even more of a powerful position on Mezzanine. I like this read from them. It's going to enable them to hold on even longer. The good news is for Ultron is they have operators to try and deal with it. They have the perfect counter to the Azami in the form of the Flores, but no grenades from the sledge is a curious one for me. What do you think about that? I don't know if that's a good idea, even with the grease and nade changes.
No, I actually agree with it.
Really?
In the current meta, I'm not trying to call you out, but like while you do need nades, you have that Flores in replace. The only time those nades would be useful was to clear out these positions with like the shield, with the zombie barricades that are upstairs on top maize and top blue. But when you bring in an operator like Flores that can just send his drone in and get it, you don't need the nades. And what that does, it allows you to bring in an additional set of 3 flashes. And honestly, if you don't bring, oh wow, okay, Matamba just marking my words, getting the first kill on Buzz. But if you don't bring these flashes, speaking of, 3 flashes are now gone. That is Buzz. Not only are the flashes gone, but the hard reach utility is now also gone. So now Palpatine, the only player with the flashes to essentially try and push these players out. Outlast Black having a great start to the round compared to the first 2.
Yeah, that's a huge pick for the side of Outlast Black. That's not only your entire hard breach capability gone, but that's also some of the capability that could have been used to deal with the Azamis off the board as well. Not to mention, you've lost some of the drones. Just overall, a crucial pick for the side of Outlast Black. And looking forward, it's going to be even harder now for Ultron to try and clear out this mezzanine position. It's such a bunker spot. You see shields, you see mirror windows, you see a warden dedicated to hanging on to this. Outlast Black do not want to give this spot up. And it means Ultron are going to have such a hard time, but Triss is able to work his way in, take out the Valkyrie. And we're back to a 4 versus 4 now as Triss comes in with a swing, but no, he's read perfectly by Retro on the back stairs. But these teams continue to trade back and forth, going blow for blow with each other, and I have to wonder who will get the next pick. There you go, as C4 gives it back to the defense. Outlast Black are in the best position that they've had so far to try and pick up a round win. Looking good on bar so far. They need to continue to push it forward. They need to push this advantage. And Retro picks up another one. It's all up to Lekliax in the 1 versus 3. He is able to get one, and maybe a second one lined up for him if Matamba swings, unfortunately. And no, he's just going to sit behind that shield. I believe Lekliax has the right read on this player, but he doesn't want to swing too far because he knows that it's going to be so hard to deal with him. And Matumba is actually going to disengage and go ahead and vault down back to sight. Lekliax doesn't have the diffuser in his hands, so he's going to have to go for kills, and the swing from Sneeze is going to net the kill. And there you go. Outlast Black are finally on the board. They get their first defense on Chalet.
You know, having a little bit of a slow start for Outlast Black, but it only took them 3 rounds to really find their footing on this defense, and they're just 1 round away from tying up. But I want to touch on a player, Matamba. He played top mez and eventually rotated into library to hold that Azami charge that was on that, I don't know what you can call that. I guess you could say display that was, you know, guarding the window. And I just really loved how Matamba played it. He switched between positions really efficiently. He didn't over-aggress. He understood the situation. While he was being pressured by 2 players, one on highway window onto top blue, and then one on double window, he understood that he didn't need to fall off that position. He could sit here, waste time. Not only did he waste time, he didn't overextend. He didn't swing trying to go for the kill. He was like, oh, you know, we have a man count. I can, you know, swing. You know, even if I die, we'll be even. He realized that I'm still holding a very powerful position. I don't need to swing. I can wait for them to come to me. And as you saw, that one player in highway holding his actual cross, if he overextended in that situation, that player on the side of the Flores would have been able to clear him out, kill him, but he didn't. So overall, great play from Matamba, and in my opinion, he definitely won the round for Outlast Black in that round.
Well, we're going to need to see a lot more from Matamba. He's been one of the primary fraggers for this Outlast Black squad. He's been putting in the work from what I've seen from him recently, especially in that wild goose chase that we mentioned. We saw them earlier on. He had a fantastic couple of games there. But looking ahead to this game, looking ahead to this round specifically, we're going to head back to Kitchen. We're going to have that castle and a zombie combo once again. And even with that, combined with the frost, it's going to be so very hard for Ultron to work their way in to try and leverage themselves some map control because of the fact that they have limited utility to deal with it. And interestingly enough, Ultron are bringing the Nook. We don't see Nook a lot nowadays with those recent nade changes. So maybe this indicates that Ultron are going to go for some sort of pocket strat rush potentially. I don't necessarily know. It all
Is
depends on
Ash
where Triss
reinforced?
is playing.
No, okay, it's not. I thought I thought Ash was reinforced for a second. That scared me a little bit, but no. Buzz staying up for a little longer initially. It's Matamba yet again to get the first pick onto Fighter now. That is a really big pick. That is your Ash gone. Not only does she have 5 kills in the top frag, also she has a lot of utility, but Triss just sneaking through the defense, finds a player. Now halfway through the round, he trades it back, not only getting a pick, but also getting so much map control, not even needing a drone, just kind of walking through the map, identifying that there were no roamers over there, and just honestly took a lot of control both on the player and the map.
Yeah, that milk pick, while maybe unconventional, it seems to be working out very well so far. Another pick comes in as the man advantage now will swing in favor of Ultron. They have top floor control. Look at this. Buzz just repelled in to Solar, and he's able to take control of that. Matumba left all alone on the top floor. Does have potentially the right read on a player pushing in from mezzanine side, but he's not going to take the engagements. Instead, Lecliax is going to push even further in advantage for Ultron, but a beautiful shot from Matumba on the swing equalizes the man count into a 2 versus 2, and these teams with just under a minute look to potentially go for a reset to try and figure out how best they need to play this, especially on the attacking side. With limited utility, they do have a lot of hard breach left, however. They can get themselves into position to try and open that main wall, but Buzz has just worked his way down. He's found another kill and left it all on Matumba. He got the opening pick for his team. He's going to have to find the final 2. He's going to get 1, but no! Palpatine has the trade ready. He covers his teammate well, and Ultron will regain their lead. They will push it further, and they will take it 3-1.
A great round nonetheless from Ultron, but I think in that situation, Outlast just kind of didn't have a really good hold, didn't really have a lot of intel on Ultron, and because of that, you had players like Trist able to slip through. That player on Ash initially being picked out, Trist making up for it, but you had so many players on the side of Ultron just slipping through the lines of sight of Outlast Black, and because of that, they're able to find these early picks, while Matumba, joined by his teammate, were able to trade it back into a 2v2. It eventually was all up to Matumba in that 1v2. Ultron playing that 1v2 situation perfectly, playing for the trade, playing for the pick, and resulted in a round win. Overall, Ultron having a really good attack. I mean, if you look at the scoreline, it's 3-1. You wouldn't think in the current meta that Ultron is on attack, but they're just playing a really good, aggressive, but a structured aggressive attack, and that's why they are currently up 2 rounds.
5 seconds remaining.
And we're going to head back down to Wine Cellar now for the second time. Last time Outlast Black was here, it didn't go very well for them. They lost it in the dying seconds, but it really wasn't due to the fact that they held on very long. It was mostly due to the fact that in the dying seconds, they kind of got forced on and collapsed on when the attacking team of Ultron just pushed into Wine Cellar and got all the kills, especially because, remember, Sneeze playing on that Warden was down, playing on a shield on Pillar by a grenade, which is something we don't see very much anymore because of the fact that, obviously, you can't cook the grenades anymore. For the moment, looking ahead to this round, it seems as though Ultron, for the moment, are going to go for a full top floor clear, and I like that because of the fact that you see players like Matumba playing up on this first floor, trying to deny that vertical control, which is currently being gained by Fighter playing on the Ram. Another good operator. This is probably one of the best maps for Ram, just because of how big and how important that fireplace area is.
Is Fighter an R4C crutch? All 5 rounds, whether it's Ash or Ram, he's played the R4C. I think he's got crutch. You know, let's see what he does off the R4C. But nonetheless, overall, Ultron just getting aggressive. As you can see, Triss just using his utility to slip by this player on Matumba, and now Triss continuing to just walk through the map and gain control so quickly. He sees that he's being identified, but he doesn't care. He continues to walk through. Sneeze initially getting the kill is refrag, but it's Matumba upstairs holding his position in kitchen. They have to flush him out if they want to go for a successful site execute, and so far he has not been flushed out, but he's going to surely be swung on by 2 different players. Matumba being flashed. They still have not identified exactly where he is. Surely they'll find him soon. They may not know of his position here. And Matumba just, for now, just being allowed to play here, but he actually gets a pick onto the go down. But Palpatine refrags, and overall a great play from Matumba.
Matumba had no business getting any kills there. There were two
Yeah.
of them just watching all of his angles. And not only does he get the kill, but he's allowed to slip away eventually before he's finally finished off by Palpatine. But the dagger was already done. It was already in the hearts of Ultron. And now they find themselves not only tied up at 3-3 with just 45 seconds to go, but they find themselves in the health disadvantage. But finally, they get something going their way. They get two things going their way, actually, as not only is Retro down, it's now 1 versus 3. All of the Ions inside of Connector in the 1 versus 3 with the diffuser going down. Fighter on low HP, but no, Palpatine rotated to the breach and has the perfect cover for his team. And now you see Ultron picking up another round. They go up 4-1. They're looking really good. And surprisingly, it's on the attack of all things.
It's overall solely due to Ultron's overall style of attack. They're playing very aggressive, but it's a very structure aggressive. Aside from Trist, Trist just is allowed to walk through the map. That is a problem from Outlast. Trist should not be allowed to just walk up Solarium stairs through piano towards blue. That should not be allowed. I'm not saying you have to have a roamer up there, but you have to eventually punish him. And he was never punished that round. He was alive all the way up until that 3v1, staying alive for that whole entire round. And because of that, he's just continuing to be allowed. And if he's not punished, he's going to continue to feel comfortable in these positions. And that's honestly why he's able to push through. Why he's able to take map control so quickly is because he is comfortable. And in result, that comfortability is from him not being punished. But yet again, we're going to be going down to Bar Gaming, the only site that Outlast Black so far has won.
And it's really the one site where they've looked fairly comfortable. They, like you said, won it. And they won it in, I would say, pretty convincing fashion. They did a good job of hanging on to their different stronghold points. If you don't remember, Mutombo was really that key factor. He held on to the top floor very well, sitting on that mezzanine position. And, I mean, it was very good by him, just because of the fact that you had, like we keep talking about, that Azami, that Mira combined together, making it such a bunker position. So very powerful. And I really want to see how it is that Ultron is going to deal with it in this round. And if they can deal with it well, they would be staring down what really is a absolute victory for them in this half. Getting a 5-1 attacking half, that would pretty much seal Outlast Black's fate, I would have to think.
I'm kind of curious if they cleared out the utility for Wamai, because that Ashe, in my opinion, should just not be allowed to get that. But Atamba, in the position he was playing originally, cleared out very early on. Fighter fighting his way through, now in the midst of the defensive hold on Library, and they have not identified. Well, he is low in health. As soon as his actual adrenal charges back up, he'll be able to self-heal as he has 2 left. Should be getting close to about high, but it's actually Fighter yet again to punch another player on the side of Hoa. Ions dying down to Trist, and Outlast Black on the site they lost, looking dire on the last round of their defense in a 2v5 situation with no control. Twist continuing to put the boot on the throat, and he finally chokes out the defense and puts his team up 5-1 going into the defensive half.
So we see Outlast Black go from the only site that they've won to getting flawless on it the next time they do it. That's the interesting part of Siege. You never know what is going to happen in a single round. I had a feeling that Outlast Black would be able to hang on to that, but when they lost Mutombo, that was really that deciding factor because of the fact that you lost your main player that was in charge of hanging on to Mezzanine. You lost your Warden. And I have to think now it's looking very bad for Outlast Black. They are going to have to put on a masterclass of attack, almost, if not better, than what we saw from Ultron. If they want to have a chance at bringing this back, they are going to have to do it very, very convincingly, because they have not looked very comfortable, at least on the defense. Will they look comfortable on the attack? I mean, only time will tell. And so far, they have a good lineup. I like the fact that they're bringing Flores as well. We saw Ultron do that a few times. Let's see how Outlast Black decides to do so.
I just think Outlast Black, initially in their site setups, they have an overall idea of what they wanted to do, but it's Ultron making them uncomfortable. And Ultron, I just want to give props. They're playing attack incredibly well. Not only just how they're playing together as a team and how they're using their utility, their overall strats and what they're bringing in, what we see in the operators like that sense continuing, is just really good. And honestly, if you're looking at Trist, while he did have an operator with the nades, he used the nades. His overall ability, he used it in an overall really just individual sense. He didn't use it to cover plant. He didn't use it to cover players. He just honestly used it to cover himself. And Lilac getting the first pick onto Retro, that is a huge pick. That is dire for Outlast Black. That is your Flores gone. And aside from that Ash, that shield is going to stay up.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Well, I mentioned that I wanted to see how they would use the Flores. Looks like they won't be using the Flores because he's the first one off the board. Unfortunate for Retro, not having the best of games so far. Outlast Black as a whole have really been struggling to find the kill feed other than players such as Matumba, who's really been the one thing keeping Outlast Black afloat in these rounds. And with that, Ultron, they can play much more confidently. They can hold on to these angles much more aggressively because of the fact that they don't have to worry about the fact that they're in a man disadvantage. But finally, Outlast Black gets something going their way. They are able to take out Buzz. They're able to take out that Mira. No more C4 in the pocket of the Mira. And where did Sens get down from? Excuse me. The trades come in now. Trix just working his way into a rat angle inside a library before the jump in from Hoa is finally trading him out. And it's a 2 versus 2. These teams trading back and forth. Outlast Black in a decent position. They still have the buck on the board. That's big. They can still play that vertical game if Matumba chooses to rotate back upstairs, but he might not be alive much longer as the swing comes in, but it's traded out. It's a 1 versus 1. It's all up to Hoa and Fighter for round number 7. Hoa looking to slow things down, trying to go for this drone work, and I like this from him.
It does look like Hoa has identified where Fighter is, but Fighter going to be rotating. He has not taken out this drone, so every time he moves in front of that bar, Outlast Black is going to be identified this and relay this to his team, but it doesn't matter! Hoa drops down, and Fighter hears it and shuts him down and puts his team on match point. And honestly, if I'm looking at Outlast Black, while they did initially in the first pick lose their floors, they did a great job of recovering using the utility they had. They used the smokes and the fire gauges from Capitao. They cleared out the position upstairs and put themselves in a 2v2 situation. They did lose an unlucky 2v2, which then turned into a 1v1. But overall, up until that last half, which, that was a gunfight that could have gone anyone's way, you just died to a player with really good gun sense. Outlast Black having a really good first attack, but just not enough.
Well, Outlast Black, they now have to run the gauntlet. If they want to stay alive in this game and potentially win it, they'll need to win 5 rounds in a row to send us even to overtime. It's going to be a long task. It's going to be a long marathon for them. And I like the fact that potentially they had teased the Monty for a second, but we're going to have the much more conventional Ram on the board. And last round, we saw Outlast Black struggle a little bit in the opening round to try and gain map control. And I feel like the Monty would have been a good pick to help with that. But no, we're going to have the double vertical operators being brought out. And a common theme we talked about in the beginning, because of the fact that the Izami is unbanned, we're going to see her likely in every single round. We've seen her in every round pretty much so far. And once again, Buzz bringing it out again for this kitchen defense. I want to see how Ultron decides to use it here. We saw Outlast Black use it up above, similar to how we're seeing them use it right now inside of piano. And honestly, that's pretty standard to what you see nowadays. A lot of the teams like to do this. The spawn peek comes in, Fighter shuts down Retro. That's your hard breach off the board. Outlast Black, just 20 seconds in, are very much on the back foot.
That is your hard breach. You have no hard breach. Luck does not have a secondary hard breach on the side of the canister. He is below, trying to clear out any operators on the site. So you're not going to be able to get any hard walls. That now means that top floor, you cannot attack this site. You're not going to be able to walk in. It's just not possible. A team like Ultron, especially how they've been playing this map, you're not going to let Outlast Black just walk in through the site. That one pick, that one player on the Retro gone is just horrible. Hoa coming back and getting a trade onto Buzz though, and wow, just Lilac coming around, getting that second pick for Ultron, and Ultron just in a really good position. And if I'm Outlast Black right here, you're in a dire position. And not only are you in a dire position, oh, you do still have probably 3 of the best guns on your overall lineup. You have no line of sight. You have no map control, no hard breach, no utility. You have nothing. You have the timer, and you have 3 players. That is all you have in this situation. You're forced to swing. Alpha team missing some shots, but missing another one. But now it's actually a 3v3 turned into a 2v3.
Yeah, LS Black just forced their way into the site. Now they're in the man disadvantage. They don't have the diffuser, so they can't go for this plant. They're just kind of stuck in the site with nothing going for them, and they're going to likely get picked off here because of the fact that they don't even have top floor control. I don't know if Matumba is able to win this fight. No, he actually does. He wins the fight on the swing, and Outlast Black have brought this back. The shots from Lekliak's not going to connect onto the Buck, and he's going to have to drop, taking the fight with the Ash, but it's Matumba to cover his teammate to finish it off, and Outlast Black in a dire situation. They stay alive, they win the kitchen attack, and they start the journey. It's still a long way to go, but they still have the chance. If Ultron can win a bunch of attacks, 5 of them specifically, who says Outlast can't?
Initially in that round, I said that Outlast Black were not going to be able to walk into sight. That's exactly what they do. They just forced their way. They just took those gunfights. They believed in themselves. And wow. Matumba not only feeling themselves, and in my opinion, without Matumba, if you replace him with a player that was going maybe even, maybe going negative, they would not be in the series. Matumba has not only kept them in the series, he has put them in. Those 2 rounds were won by Matumba alone. And while you did have players getting picks, he didn't get all the kills on those 2 rounds. It was his positions and his overall picks that he got that resulted in the round. Getting the entry, clearing out sight, and not only clearing out sight, but defending his teammate and initially getting that last kill. If you're scouting players to add to a T3 team, if you're trying to build a team going forward, Matumba right now on Outlast Black really looks like that player. But you have to actually look at his teammates who are enabling him to do this with the intel, with the drones, with the utility. Without his teammates setting him up and putting him in the position, he would not be here, and they would not be here. While Outlast Black still has to win 4 rounds in a row to send themselves into overtime. They don't even win after those 4 rounds. It's still looking, I wouldn't say impossible, but very unlikely.
Well, Outlast Black, they have the building blocks in place. They finally got some momentum heading back in their way. They finally stemmed the tide that was Ultron. And just looking ahead to this round, we've got the mute and the smoke combination. The SAS operators have always been very prevalent when it comes to Siege competitive because of how powerful they are, how useful they are when it comes to sight setup, and just, overall the way you need to use their utility. Or information denial, as we see there, one of the drones getting jammed by one of those mute jammers, although I don't believe it's in a position where Ultron can actually act off of it if somebody tried to go for that swing. Still is wasting time, which is ultimately the name of the game for the defense. And you see, Ultron they're pulling back a little bit, not wanting to be too aggressive. You can see them working their way back across the top floor. They still want to hang on to it, of course, but they don't want to get over aggressive if they don't have to. Because a minute is gone, and Outlast Black haven't made much progress other than working their way in and taking control of library.
They haven't made a lot of progress. They still have their thermite though. A lot better than last round.
True.
Just continuing. Honestly, it kind of looks like Ultron, if they don't throw a whole lot at Outlast Black, they do keep that up. They do take advantage of it. Trist not exactly being identified on his exact position, and because of that, he's able to get the first pick. Running onto the player, that IQ going to be able to get the refrag. Around half a round wasted. And honestly, that play from Trist, I really like that, but the thing is, a lot of his utility now going to be gone. IQ using the utility. Overall, Outlast Black doing a really good attack, having a really good idea, but they're going to need to continue, and it's going to really be up to that late round execute if they want to get yet another round to try to push themselves to overtime.
We saw there Hoa making good use of the IQ gadget scanner. He was able to detect out those mute jammers and make it so that Outlast Black can get the main breaches open that they need to into dining and into office up above to try and get themselves control as they head into the final portions of their execute phase. They're going to get some drone work going in. They're going to figure out where it is that these players on the side of Ultron are playing inside of the site. And for the moment, it seems like they might be stalling out. They don't really have much going for them. They don't really have anybody working their way into the site. Outlast Black are going to start losing bodies. Matumba will get a kill, however, but it's instantly traded back in favor of Ultron. It's all up to Hoa to save the game. He's got to take long engagements with players inside of Trophy, inside of Solar, and it's not looking good for him. 14 seconds left. He's got to find 3. He's got to get this diffuser down. Don't even believe. No, he will not find 1, and it's Ultron to get the 7-2 victory over Outlast Black and move themselves 2-0 in this qualifier.
A great and Valorant effort on the attack from Outlast, but just being down 5-1 and playing against a team, as good as Ultron, it's just really hard. You know, I overall did like the initial site setup, the initial first half of the attacking rounds. Outlast Black had a really good idea of what they wanted to do, but they just didn't have enough. It just didn't come out to how they planned. And Ultron eventually, that 5-1 did yield them a win.
Yeah, that 5-1 an absolute rarity nowadays when it comes to the attack. You don't really see that just because of how the meta is currently structured. And the Azami ban or Azami being unbanned, I should say, might have been a huge factor in that game, especially when it came to Ultron when they were on defense. It enabled them, once they had the momentum of that 5-1 half, to really utilize the defense and really put the pressure on Outlast Black and really stunned any chance at a comeback that they had. Condolences to Outlast Black. They're not done yet. They'll move to 1-1 in the qualifier. They've got a lot of games ahead of them. There's still a lot of games left to be played overall. So we'll see how things shake out. But Goose, final thoughts on this game.
Overall, you know what? Looking at Outlast Black going forwards, they did win that first game. So that did save them. And, they overall have a great idea of what they want to do. They just need to work on the actual execution. And for Ultron, really looking like they're going to be a team that could qualify.
And we'll see how the rest of their Swiss matches play out. But that's going to be it for you, unfortunately, this evening. I'll be back later on as we've got more games to go. We got two more best of ones for everybody to enjoy for the rest of the night. Goose, would you like to say goodbye and take us out?
Yeah, it was really good. And continue, we have still 54 teams tonight. So to all
Yeah,
the
that's a
teams playing
lot.
tonight, yeah, it is a lot. And we do have two more games going forwards. So all to the teams, to the people continuing to watch, I hope you guys have fun. And I hope the games continue to be as good quality as we've gone. And I hope you guys have a great continuous night.